Okay, for our quick little demo here, we're going to go right down the 6-step thought process. And the first step, of course, is idea. What's my idea for this painting? What is it about this scene that draws me in, or what is it that I find appealing? And so the first thing is, of course, the little arch under the bridge. I love that shape and the shadow that it casts, and the far shore on the opposite side. I like the way the little canal leads us up to that with all the uneven stone on either side of the water. I just think it's a really interesting collection of shapes, and it has strong contrast between light and dark. I like that. Actually, when I took this photo, the sky had hazed over just a little bit, so the sunlight was not as strong as it had been just a few minutes earlier. So as you'll see in the painting, I end up painting a lot from memory, and I'm not following the photo too closely. The other thing about this photo is, it's not very colorful. It's a pretty gray scene, and also, it's not giving me the basic sense of atmosphere that I was after, which I had experienced just a little earlier before the clouds came along. So it's a very simple composition overall, and I'm going to do just a small canvas. In this case, a 12 by 9 inch panel is what I'm going to be working on. And that allows me to do a fairly quick demo for you guys. But we're still touching on all of the techniques that we're talking about here in Mastering Light. So let's have a look at a time lapse of me painting this. So here I am working on a toned canvas, and this canvas was actually, I had just toned it before I started painting, which is unusual for me. Usually I let the tone dry, but in this case the tone is still wet, as you'll see in a moment. The cool thing about that is you can kind of wipe back into it for some highlights, which you'll see me do with a paper towel here shortly. But the basic idea was just to get the big shapes set down on the canvas. Proportion, placement, and perspective when we're talking about drawing. And then you can see I started by establishing some of my darkest darks. This allows me to measure all my other darks back against those. And then I started with some of my lightest lights, and this helps me establish some of the midtones or middle value passages as I move along. Here I'm working on some of the little cast shadows on the wall. And you can see, slowing down just for a moment to work on these stones on the wall on the left. And already you can see that I am turning up the color quite a bit in this painting. I started on a fairly warm tone, and I let little bits of that show through here and there. But it just helped me maintain my thought about warming up the entire scene. I didn't want it to be so gray, even though it is mostly concrete and granite stones. I thought there was an opportunity to add a bit more color. And also, I'm really increasing the contrast between the lit side of the canal and the shadow side here. As you can see, the shadow side is very dark. I wanted that to create a good sense, a strong sense of light. Again, we didn't really have that in the photo, but I remembered it from just a few moments earlier when the sun had been out. And there you go. That's pretty much the finished painting. I'm adding a few more little dark accents between the rocks here. And you'll see that I'm going to reduce some of the highlights on those rocks in the shadow because I thought they were popping up a little too much. But a few little ripples on top of the transparency, final couple of highlights, and there you have it.